Hello, this is Colin Lobo, Executive Vice President of NRMCA with the Engineering Division. This is part two on basic quality control activities for concrete producers. In part one, we discussed the factors that impact quality, general goals, and developing a quality plan, managing materials and concrete mixtures, and some fundamentals of the financial aspects related to quality and profitability. In part two, we will discuss activities related to operations that impact quality, monitoring test results, and we will show you some other resources NRMCA has to manage quality. So we'll talk a little bit about some of these operational issues. Accuracy of measuring devices. We should ensure that scales are determined to be accurate. These are the requirements in ASTM as well as the NRMCA plant certification program. So periodically you have to call in a scale company that brings in a certain number of standardized test weights and puts them on your scale along with product loading to verify that your scales are accurate and through the range of use that you anticipate. And you also need to check that your water meters are accurate. This often requires that you dispense a certain quantity of water into a drum and hang it on a scale to verify that you're accurate. Admixture companies generally check the accuracy periodically of admixture dispensers. So these are requirements in the standard. It is very important that you verify that scales are accurate because if you are not batching materials accurately, you will have inventory problems, you will have cost issues, and you will have impact to the quality and variability of the concrete that you produce. Managing materials, you should make sure that besides the standard specifications for aggregates handling and stockpiling, you need to make sure that you maintain a clear separation of all the materials in terms of cementitious material. Make sure that the pipes are properly labeled so the right material goes into the right bins and silos. That aggregates are stored so that there's no cross-contamination between different types and that the loader operator is working those stockpiles to minimize breakage and segregation of the aggregate products. You need to make sure that the bins and silos and weigh batchers are properly maintained so that the gates close and discharge material to the required accuracy when batching materials. Aggregate stockpiles, of course, when working an aggregate stockpile, the loader operator has a very important impact on the quality of concrete. Minimize segregation so that you have a large space of the stockpile, that the aggregate is being loaded into the plant so that they have a minimized impact on segregation of the aggregate and relatively uniform moisture is being fed into the plant system. If when you look at shipments, you need to identify that if you ordered a number 57 aggregate, you didn't get a number 89 stone. Make sure that there is a visual check on the material that you have received and make sure that when you receive cementitious material that you have identified with the bill of lading that the material is the correct one and that you give the operator the correct information regarding where to load that material. The other aspects of making sure that make sure that unloading, stockpiling, and moving off aggregates are without impacting segregation, that you have separate silos for cementitious materials or at least dual wall separations if you're using a single silo for cementitious material. Admixtures are protected from freezing and cross-contamination, and that the aggregate sizes are stored properly to avoid cross-contamination between different types. Aggregates are stored in separate bins, etc. Condition of production equipment needs periodic maintenance. Make sure that there's maintenance of the batch plant equipment, the truck mixer conditions in terms of wear and buildup of the mixers, that you're following a maintenance schedule, as well as a replacement schedule on mixer drums and other systems. The transfer systems for materials, especially liquids, in terms of piping, so that they are not impacting the accuracy of the materials that is being batched. NRMCA manages a plant and truck certification program that verifies and checks on various aspects of your quality system as it relates to the production process. So if you are required, you might be aware of these processes, but it looks at the storage of materials, it looks at the accuracy of scales, it looks at the batching accuracy, it looks at your ticketing system, it looks at your central mix system, and it looks at the condition of your truck mixers. And also look at selection and investment of new equipment and processes that can improve your quality. One of the biggest challenges in ready-mix concrete production is to ensure that we have uniform water content, and the water content in the mixture is consistent. We can batch other materials relatively accurately, but sources of water can be incorrect. So periodically, at least daily, you should measure the moisture content on your aggregates and make appropriate adjustments to mixture proportions based on aggregates. If you look at that sand stockpile, you will notice that the bottom of the stockpile is very wet relative to the top. So as the loader works on that stockpile, make sure that there is a uniform process by which he feeds the plant. Batch adjustments are necessary when you know what your moisture content is. Don't assume that it's always the same percentage. And then if you use moisture probes, you have to periodically calibrate those moisture probes with a cook-off on the aggregate so that you're making sure that the aggregate moisture probes are giving you the right numbers and making the right adjustments in the batching process. These are the requirements for accuracy. Now, naturally, when you're batching concrete, it impacts not only the quality of the concrete, the yield of the concrete, but it also impacts your inventory and cost. So periodically look at your batch records, make sure that when you have a target weight of cementitious material or aggregates that you are batching within the plus or minus 1% required by the standards, that your water batched is within plus or minus 1.5% of the target quantity. And when you start getting into problems with excessive batching, of course, then you're giving away materials for free. It also impacts how your concrete mixtures will perform and changes the variability of your product that will impact future work. So these are generally the batching accuracy. A lot of companies primarily look at the batching accuracy of cement because that impacts their cost, but that's an important initial step to look at when you check your batching accuracy. Another important factor related to the quality of produced concrete, especially when batching into truck mixers, is to have a proper batching sequence so that concrete can be uniformly mixed within about 100 revolutions at mixing speed. And this is a recommended batching sequence to ensure that you don't get cement balls in the mixed concrete. So make sure that you don't add any fine materials as the first material introduced into a mixer because that will not break up from the head of the drum. Try to get some coarse aggregate with almost 3/4 of the water in first and ribbon the aggregate in cement and then end with the cement before the aggregates and wash down the rest of the material into the mixer as the last quarter of the thing. You should be able to get uniformly mixed concrete within about 100 revolutions at mixing speed, both in terms of uniformity of air content, slump, coarse aggregate content, etc. And monitor the number of revolutions that you are putting on a mixer at mixing speed and agitating speed. Sometimes there are limits on the total number of revolutions. Other production issues are to periodically look at your aggregate gradation. The big challenge here, of course, is to control the addition of water. There is some water that may be held back for addition at the job site. Make sure that is communicated to the purchaser as to the amount of water that can be added at the job site. Aggregate moisture needs to be checked periodically so that that contribution to water is known. There is, the general practice of adjusting the slump at the slump rack, and that process should be controlled so that excessive water is not added. And then any job site water addition should be recorded on the delivery ticket and signed off by the purchaser. Periodically check the yield, slump, air content of your concrete that you produce, maybe at the plant, or also do companion testing at the job site to make sure that the testing lab is doing the right job. The delivery time to discharge is an important factor. It costs about $1.50 a minute for your truck time, and so ensure that the contractor or the purchaser doesn't keep your truck too long at the job site, and this also impacts the ability to deliver concrete at the right slump and the air content. And if the delivery is too long and not anticipated, then there may be an excessive job site water addition that will adversely affect the quality of your concrete. Things vary in summer and winter, and you may have to make adjustments with seasonal changes to your concrete mixtures in terms of admixture quantities and other adjustments to manage concrete at different temperatures. The other aspect is to track your concrete performance. These are some of the factors that you may need to look at. Try and keep the batch record and the test data together so you can see the impact of your batching on your test data. Also make sure that there is some record of the job site adjustments. Make sure that your driver is aware of what the proper practices for testing concrete are so that they can observe what happens at the job site as to how your concrete is tested, both for fresh concrete properties, how those cylinders are made, and how those cylinders are cured before they are transported to a lab. Understand how you can evaluate your acceptance criteria and any other restrictions to delivery in terms of time or number of revolutions on the truck. And also look at the ability to do non-destructive testing in case you get into a strength problem and what happens with cores. This is some charts that producers sometimes use to track their concrete. On the left is the data. It shows when a strength result may not have met the requirements of the specification in red. On the right, you see some visual indications of your strength test records to show when you might have dipped below the red line and indicating a strength failure. So these things are useful and need to be tracked by obtaining all your test results and tracking your concrete performance. So some of the NRMCA resources, we have courses such as the technical courses, specification courses. We have a higher level durability course. We have a course that gives you an understanding of your business principles. This is referred to as the Think Like an Owner course, so that you understand your costs and establish the right processes to minimize those costs and increase your profitability. There are several publications that can be used internally for ready mix producers as well as to your customers. These are the TIPs and CIPs. The Improving Concrete Quality course, we also administer an annual quality award. We get about 50 producers who submit, and about 35 to 40 of those do get the award. This award generates benchmarking information on quality, and that benchmarking survey report is available so that you can understand the various costs associated with quality. So as you understand that, if you need a copy of that, send us a request and we can get you a copy of that. In summary, we discussed several details of quality control and why you need to invest in these activities. You may not need all of them, or you may not use all of them, but these are general principles for you to achieve the right level of quality for the market you serve and for the customers that you need to add and retain. Please contact us for more information and visit our website at this link for available quality resources. As new resources are developed, we will add more to this site. Thank you for your attention, and I hope this presentation will be of some value to you.